on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Kaged Review. My name is Kevin Jackwitz, and this is going to be a review for The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Obviously, I'm very late in seeing this movie. A friend of mine played it for me a couple of days back, and I gotta say, I really loved this movie. And there's a couple of things that, like, right away, I took away as something really unique and cool about this. The first being is this is the first John Hughes movie that John Hughes has never made. It just has that feeling. Obviously, John Hughes didn't make it, but it has that vibe to it. It has a lot of the John Hughes isms that you come to expect. You know, the angsty teens, you know, in school trying to find themselves, sometimes distraught, and you know have these revelations about them, and it felt very much like that. The other kind of cool thing about this is you have some very significantly familiar faces that you never look at as their past characters, and like Logan Lerman, who played Percy Jackson, Emma Watson, who is very famous for Hermione in the Harry Potter series, Ezra Miller. We need to talk about Kevin, and since you know we're now in 2020, has done the Flash in Justice League, which is the only thing I was familiar with with his work. And I never looked at any of these people as, you know, like Hermione or something like that. You know, it was always the character they were trying to portray, which I thought was very cool. It just shows that it was a very good acting job from all of them. So the three main characters here are from Logan Lerman, Emma Watson, and Ezra Miller. Logan Lerman plays this outcast who just really has a hard time making friends. He's in high school, he's alienated. But there's also something underneath it all that you can tell is just really disturbing. And he winds up befriending Ezra Miller and his stepsister, Emma Watson. And these two are a little bit over the top. They love life. They're always exuberant. And both Emma and Ezra were phenomenal in this movie. Ezra Miller especially was so ridiculously good. I'd only seen, like I said, The Flash from Justice League, which Justice League was a terrible movie. So to see Ezra Miller in a performance like this was very, very cool. The guy really blew me away. So they make this friendship, and inevitably, of course, Logan Lerman's character starts falling for Emma Watson's character. But Emma Watson is one of those people that's just stuck always going for the wrong person, the guys that treat her like shit, and yeah, it sucks. So that was cool. Another kind of friendship that was made here from Logan Lerman's character was Paul Rudd plays an English teacher. And he really sees the aptitude and the ability from Logan Lerman. And so they kind of form this bond. And it's like Paul Rudd would give Logan Lerman's character books to read for, you know, doing specific tasks or assignments. And I thought that was a very cool dynamic all throughout the movie. So I'm going to shift into spoiler talk and kind of talk about, you know, some of the things that happened in this movie that really grabbed me or that had an impact, probably more at the time it was made than it does now for a couple of things, but still you kind of get the idea. The first thing that is like a big moment is you realize that not only is Ezra Miller's character gay, but also one of the guys on the football team who, you know, they're always supposed to be alpha male and, you know, men. And so there was quite the conflict there with Ezra Miller, and, you know, especially when they got found out they were gay and, you know, people in school started to find out, there was a situation where the football team really started to get into really aggressive taunting with Ezra Miller, who didn't back down. He was fighting back. He was standing his ground, and of course, you know, that's really something you respect in that situation. But it does start to actually get violent, and, you know, a couple of football players are gay bashing, and like they're in the cafeteria and all the students are watching Ezra Miller getting his ass kicked. And Logan's character, like, it doesn't really show the beatdown that he gives the football players, but the insinuation is that this guy's got a violent side. He blacked out and he really did some damage. So that was kind of a couple of things really unfolding at the same time. Is you're starting to see that Logan's character, there's a reason he's isolated. There's a reason he just doesn't know how to deal with people right now. And you learn that he's dealing with a death, a very close death. And it doesn't really talk about who it was for quite some time. And then that story starts to unfold that it was his aunt that died. And at first, you kind of think that he's just really close with his aunt. But then later, you find out that his aunt was sexually abusing Logan's character, and he felt extreme guilt because he kind of wanted her dead. Like, he didn't want her around because she was sexually abusing him and hurting him. And then she dies. And so now he's got this kind of double whammy going on. And so, yeah, she died in a car crash, and he just has, like, incredible guilt over the whole thing. And on top of, not dealing with the sexual abuse thing, it just kind of, like, he shoved it down, and it started to come back in these really bad outbursts and really depressive states. And I think that's part of the reason I connected with this movie so much is because, A, I was the outcast in school. I was that guy. I was fucked with really bad in school. And so this really resonated with me. It felt real. It felt like what you would go through. And so the movie in that way did a very good job. But also, I have been abused when I was younger, so it really resonated with me now. It's like, oh my God, dude, yeah, I can see that. And so the movie really portrays this, I think, in a genuine light. And it really shows the effects that things like that can have on you. Another thing that was kind of happening throughout this movie was that, again, Logan Lerman's character starts to fall for Emma Watson's character. Emma Watson going for all the wrong people, and Logan's just kind of on the sideline, not really making an attempt to tell her how he feels. And he starts to talk to Paul Rudd's character, the English teacher, about it, and he asks why people always go for the wrong people. And there was a great line in the movie that was used more than once. He says, we accept the love that we think we deserve. And I thought that was very poignant. I thought it was a very good line. And later on, the conversation between Logan Lerman and Emma Watson, where she's like kind of broken up with one of the assholes and, looks like she's moving away to college. And she says, why didn't you ever tell me that you liked me? Or, why, something along those lines. And that conversation starts between those two where Logan Lerman's character rehashes that very same quote. And it starts the relationship between those two characters. So it was really cool, man, that at the end, they found each other. Because they're, two people that are kind of lost, looking for something, and then there they are. So that was cool. At the end, Logan Lerman's character, he's kind of by himself because his two friends have gone off to college. He's still in high school, and he's still not dealing with what's happened to him. And he gets in this really bad mental state where he gets very suicidal. And the movie doesn't really explain what happens. The implication is that maybe he tried to kill himself. He's sitting there in the kitchen after, making some calls and talking to his actual sister about things, and she realizes that he's having this like mental breakdown. And so he's staring at a knife at the kitchen, and then the next thing you know, he is in a mental health facility, and they start talking about everything that's happened to him, and the therapist there really starts pushing Logan Lerman's character to talk about what had happened with his aunt, and so that kind of starts the healing process, and so he starts therapy, and that's pretty close to the end of the movie, and so you're kind of hoping that through talking about it, through the therapy, he could find some kind of peace of mind and move on to a normal life. And so the movie was very well done. Some of the dialogue here was just very well written and delivered. Like I said, Ezra Miller was surprisingly good to me in this movie. All three of them, Logan Lerman, Emma Watson, Ezra Miller, all very, very good. Paul Rudd as well. Just absolutely amazing. And like I said, it just rang true to me. And that's something that movies don't do nowadays. Honestly, movies nowadays, they come off as cheesy, fake as can be. The characters aren't believable. The plots aren't believable. The writing is bad. So to see this was very refreshing. I really enjoyed it. Perks of Being a Wallflower really caught me off guard as a diamond in the rough. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I felt very strongly about this movie. So ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you enjoy this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz. Kaged Nation, out.